And welcome back, everyone, to Next Round Sports Podcast. This is Chris Porter, welcoming in all of our listeners out there, ready to bring you another exciting episode of sports and sports banter. Joined here by my cohorts, Caleb Culver and Jeff Amos. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Hey, not too bad.
Under 100 degrees for a change, so we'll take it.
For a couple
Oh,
of
yeah.
days.
I have to say, I don't miss 100-degree weather being up north now. That
At
is
least
one
I don't have
thing
to
I
shovel
don't miss.
snow, though. That
is very, very true. Although I do have a new snowblower now.
Oh.
Which
See,
is
that's all you need.
outrageous. It's outrageous. But that's a talk for another day. We're here having a drink, ready to talk some sports. A lot has been going on in the past week since the last episode, so we're really excited to jump into all of this. And the heat's finally getting a little break from the heat down in Texas. We're still sitting around 80 degrees like we've been. People are melting up here. It's hilarious. It's really funny. But regardless, who's been really hot lately have been Matt Scherzer and the Texas Rangers. Scherzer has been 3-0 since he's joined the team. In 20 innings, he's got a 1.8
11
ERA.
I think the last game.
In the last game, he had 11 strikeouts. He's got 26 strikeouts since he's been a Ranger. He's got a 1.8 ERA and only 5 walks.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you can't get better than that coming in. And everybody, of course, when they trade for Max, are we going to get the Cy Young Max Scherzer, or are we getting the old man Max Scherzer? I think he's showing right now, at least in this small snippet, that he is ready to
Cy
play.
Young. Now, injuries would still worry me, just because of his more recent history, but I don't think that's going to crop up necessarily.
Y'all like Max Scherzer? Y'all like having him? He's pretty good.
We like that, Max. We like it.
What did I tell you about him? I only bragged about him for years and years and years. You're like, oh, I don't know. He's too old.
That was the past, Jeff.
I knew he was good back in his Detroit days.
Come on. He's Cy Young right now.
He's Cy Young.
3 starts. It's 3 starts right here. He's playing like a Cy Young, but he's not Cy Young yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's playing like
Tap the brakes. Tap the brakes.
He's playing like a Cy Young.
He's been playing.
Now he's changing his words.
No, he's playing.
He's been playing lights out in his last start last night against the Angels. The Rangers were able to go win 12-0. The bats are still on. I know we were concerned last week with Young going out, and he's actually from everything Well, Hyman come back during this last
Hyman's
stretch.
Back now.
Came back, but with Young being out, I know that that in interviews and stuff I've read about him recently is that he's pushing to get himself back for the playoffs. I hope he does, but I want him to be 100%. If he does, I don't want him to continue injuring himself.
Don't rush it as young as he is.
There's no reason to, and I know a lot of that is he's a rookie. He wants to be a part of something special that they've got going on.
Maybe also trying to get that Rookie of the Year award too.
That's true as well. But I'm not as afraid with the offense as I was. I mean, they almost got a sweep of Bruce Bochy getting his return to San Francisco. Yeah. They almost got a sweep there. We're just one hit away there on that third game.
That home run. And Jeff's favorite rule with the runner on second to start the extra innings.
At the end of the day, your closer's gonna give up that every once in a while. You just want it to happen in rare occasions. And Will Smith has been pretty consistent. He hasn't given up something like that in a while. So you give your closer that every once in a while. It's gonna happen. You can't. No one's perfect every single game unless you're Mariano Rivera.
Been struck out the side though.
He did. He did. Chapman's been looking good too. I'll send love his way as well too. I think he's also motivated as well after coming off a terrible Kansas City team. I mean, there's something special. Looks like it's brewing here, and we'll see how it continues on throughout. But the Rangers, with the win yesterday and a loss from Houston, now have a 3.5 game lead over the Astros for the division. And
I think it's going to come down to those 3 games in September, though. That's going to decide the division.
It definitely will. It's going to be. you have to play good baseball now with Houston on your heels. Houston's not going to let up. They're not going to just let this go away.
That's when Houston and the Rangers face each other.
Yes, I know exactly that's what you're talking about. That game is going to be huge, but at the same time, every game leading up to that game, to that series, is going to be important because Houston's not going to take off. They've won. They're the champs. They are the reigning champs. They're not going to let go and just go off into the night and let us, run away with the division. They're not going to do it. They're going to keep battling in that aspect of being able to try and come and win. That's why they went and traded for Verlander after we got Scherzer. They brought him back. They, even as old as he is, they brought back a guy that is a great pitcher that they also have history with. And it wasn't as like bringing in somebody who's never been part of the franchise. I mean, as we talked about when Scherzer, before he accepted the trade to the Rangers, he talked to Jacob deGrom, and who he played with the Mets, just to ask, hey, what's the culture like there? Is this somewhere I'm going to like to be? And deGrom convinced him to come here. With Verlander for Houston, that wasn't no convincing. He already knew what he was getting into, so it was okay with the trade there. I mean, they've got a good team. They have a great team. We have to be a better team. We shouldn't let it come down to those 3 games. We need to play our best baseball here through August and September before we get to that.
Well,
that's winning series.
Right. Yes.
That's winning series.
Separated by 3 games.
Exactly.
3 games right there. They're going to basically
it is. And you're not going to sweep every series, but you need to win the series that you can win, and you need to win series against good team. If they win series all the way up to that Houston series, you're good. You're good, but you have to keep winning these series.
Yeah, in a 162 game season, you can't just look ahead to one. And I know it's not a random 3 game series in September, but these games are huge. And hopefully, if you continue on the stretch that you are right now, winning consistently, and you don't have to worry about
the
those
Rangers.
3 games.
That's it. The Rangers schedule is easier than the Astros.
You just have to focus. I know this sounds cliche, but you truly do have to focus what's on front of you right now, because you cannot.
You do, but I mean, we're also going to be facing a lot of the same guys. We're both going to go against the Angels, the Mariners, and the A's all over again. We know those teams are bad this year.
Yeah.
So even if we win the series, they're probably going to win the same series
even though
against Seattle, if we're beating the Mariners at the time.
Even though Seattle's actually having a decent season for Seattle, the Rangers have had their number. Seattle has played well against a lot of other teams. They played well against Baltimore, but they just can't seem to play well against the Rangers
for some reason have ours.
Yep. Well, that's happened for years. That's been that way for years. Whenever the A's are terrible, they always can beat the Rangers. Although we were able to get 2. I mean, we should have swept them, but we got 2 out of 3. But hey, you won the series. Just win the series. That's all you got to do. If you lose a game, lose 1. We can't have any losing series. We can't have any losing streak now. We need to have that in the past. We need to play our best baseball. This is when you need to play your best baseballs, right here, getting hot going into the playoffs, and then ride that wave all the way through. There's something could be special here, but I mean, also saying that, here tonight, I've got the Atlanta Yankee game playing right now. Atlanta's up 5-0. Atlanta has a special team this year. They have the best record in the majors. They haven't slowed up since the All-Star break. They've just gotten hotter. They've kept pushing forward. Atlanta's a team to watch. The Dodgers have caught fire here recently. They are looking fantastic. Those are actually 2 teams that right now.
They're top of the NL most likely, just like the Rangers and the Astros and the Orioles are probably top of the AL.
In the MLB power rankings, both those teams, the Dodgers and the Braves, are ranked above the Rangers. And I've seen multiple power rankings, and all of them have Atlanta's 1, LA 2.
Yeah,
and they have Baltimore.
Some of that Dodgers talk though is just.
It's LA
writers on the West Coast talking them up.
It is.
Them up
it is.
There. It's
and a lot of these have the Rangers at 3 or 4, with Baltimore at either 3 or 4. Switch them around right that. I mean, Baltimore's still looking good as well too, but Baltimore's still young. So what are they going to do in the playoffs?
And
that's the conversation you got to have then.
Then where they are.
Right, and I think when you look at the NL, it's evident that hands down the Braves and the Dodgers are the 2 best teams in the National League. I mean, just to glance at the standings.
Yeah, so just based on records.
Teams next are Milwaukee and Philadelphia with a .546 winning percentage. I mean, come on. And then and also too, just on paper, clearly these teams are far way better than everyone else. Now, again, the playoffs are crazy. As we saw last year, Philadelphia went on their run, so anything can happen. But it's evident that these are the two best teams in the National League. Whether or not that will occur, we'll see if that happens. I mean, look at the NHL playoffs, for example, this season. Boston, one of the historic great teams of all time. They don't even get out of the first round. But with that being said, these are the two best teams in the NL, and I would venture to say the two best teams in baseball right now.
And you brought up the Milwaukee Brewers. They're leading the National League Central right now, and the Rangers do have a series coming up with them here this weekend. So, a good test right there. Looking forward to that because on Saturday we actually get the game up in Pittsburgh. So I'm really looking forward to.
Lucky.
Yes, my son Wyatt is really looking forward to getting to watch his Texas Rangers play. Although he'll say he's a Rangers fan, but really when it comes down to it, he likes the winning team because when the Giants beat the Rangers on the walk-off, he was going, "Yay, Giants, home run, yay, Giants." You're just a fence setter. Stop it. He's 4, so we'll give him a break. He's 4.
Yeah. Be careful. Don't let him turn into Dre now.
No, not going to let that happen. No, not at all.
That was 1997 one year.
Yep, Fox Sports 1. So looking forward to that right there. And then the Saturday after that, they've got a series Rangers will be playing the Twins, which Twins aren't really nothing to say, but they will be in the playoffs because they're by far going to win the American League Central. It's embarrassing by how much they're going to win it by, but that's how bad the American League Central is right now.
Well, that's another reason they have these new rules where they seat you based on record type of thing too.
Well, I mean that's the way that
division record still helps.
Division record helps in the first round, yeah.
Because the Twins, as of looking today, have 62 wins. The Yankees, who are in last place in the AL East, have 60.
Yeah,
it's just absurd.
Yeah, and there's a third.
Yeah, I pulled it up right here. Yeah, 62 wins for Minnesota, leading the division by 4 games over Cleveland, and Boston has 62 wins and is in 4th place in the AL East. It's just crazy. I mean, the Angels are in 4th place and have 59 wins. I mean,
yeah, and also too, what's amazing is that if you're the Twins, 3 of the teams in the division that you go against have a run differential roughly of below 100. I mean, what that is.
Oh, it's too late to move to the Central Division is what I'm hearing.
It is too late. It is too late. But hey, you got to play as in your division. Yeah, that's all. You just can't help that. You can't help that. So
I wouldn't trade these matchups and rivalries and histories we've had with these teams for years.
So they have. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one note is that Baltimore is keeping their hot streak going right now. They've continued to be on a hot stretch, whether it's their lineup one day, their rotation the next. They're one of the best teams in baseball. I would say the best AL team.
They're 7-3 in their past 10 games, but but the Rangers are 8-2 in their past 10 games.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, again, the Rangers are one of the best teams in baseball too. All right. So, and just looking again at Baltimore this weekend, they just had after that tough series against the Astros in the middle of the week, had 2 critical extra inning wins against Seattle this weekend to secure that lead in the AL East. So that's a team to watch out for as well.
And the team that we all love to bash on just because they've been so overrated, we'll go ahead and talk real quick about the San Diego Padres. 4th in the National League West. They are 2-8 in their last 10 games. The Dodgers, who lead their division, 9-1 in their last 10 games. So once again,
like they went all in and have just pooed poo-pooed all the season away. Shoto Tony sweepstakes next year, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, it will happen. Where he's Tony? Yeah, that. When is
got everyone? Who they don't have? I mean, they've got everyone now. They got Soto. They got Machado,
Darvish,
Tatis Jr.,
Fernando Tatis. Like, who do they not have anymore?
This has got to be this is a manager situation.
Xander Bogaerts.
It's got to be.
It is because it wasn't because it didn't work last time. You have Bob Melvin, who's been a great manager at other stops. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well,
it's these players got paid. They don't give a shit anymore. They do not give a shit.
You talking about your boy Soto that way?
He doesn't give a shit now because Padres were crazy enough to pay him what he asked for.
As you're talking about,
the rotation isn't very good either.
The Ohtani sweepstakes. When is Mike Trout finally going to say enough is enough?
When Ohtani officially leaves in November.
I think it might take one more year after Ohtani leaves.
No,
I think he might be coming up on the end of his 10 or 15-year deal that he signed way back when.
He's got plenty of time left on that.
But when is he going to say, hey, he's a Jersey guy. He's a Jersey boy. When is he going to want to say, hey, I want to go back out to the East Coast. I'm sick of this over here.
When Ohtani officially leaves. That's when that's happening.
Which I know that sounds crazy that you would, I mean, my feelings about California aside, why would you leave California for Jersey?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, what have the Angels, for Trout, they brought in Pujols at the end of his career.
Brought in Pujols. They brought in Rendon.
They were able to draft Ohtani, of course, but I mean, every single time they have not done anything. They've changed managers. It's what else do they need to do? What is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back where Mike Trout finally is like, okay, I've given you guys some of the best years of my career when I wasn't injured. What are you going to do?
That time has come, and then again, the icing on the cake will be when Ohtani leaves in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen.
It's possible.
It does. I mean, I think Mike Trout is, even though I am not an Angel fan at all, can't stand him, but I like Mike Trout, and I think he's a good guy. He's a guy that he's good for baseball. He's good for the sport. He's just, out there, not good to the fans, good to the kids that enjoy. He doesn't seem like he's a jackass. So,
well, that's part of MLB's problem too. Is he's too quiet of a superstar.
Well,
their best player is just quiet, and he's not in many national commercials.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
Perspective, he is terrible. I agree with you on that.
I think that'd be different if he was like in the Yankee uniform. Even though I'd hate to have him in the Yankee uniform, but I could, I think that would be different. Yeah. Because I think even though he's in LA, the Angels aren't as marketable of a team as the Yankees, or say the Cubs, or Boston, or even the Dodgers. If he was on the Dodgers, completely different aspect.
And again, another second fiddle Los Angeles team not being anywhere close to the level as their counterpart. So, what else?
So, I'd like something better for him to see if he could get onto a team that actually have a chance to win something. I think he would. I would feel good if he got onto a team to be able to win one. All right. Any other topics you guys wanted to hit up here on the Major League Baseball that we may have missed?
One thing that I did want to say is that I know that you mentioned that the Rangers didn't sweep the A's, but you know who did sweep the A's this weekend? The Washington Nationals.
So they have 3 wins now on the year?
Here, we'll look it up just for shits and grabs. Washington. All right, 7-3 in their last 10 games. There you go. There you go. Still sitting 23.5. Still sitting 23.5 games behind Atlanta, but you know what? You're only 1 game out of overtaking the Mets and knocking the Mets into last place. So, hey, there you go.
Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Beat the Mets. Just beat the Mets after the Mets sold everything at the trade deadline. I think we lost him again.
No, I was just going to say, if you told me at the start of the season, all you're going to do is finish above the Mets, I'd be like, hell yes, I'd take the serious every single time.
All right, well, that'll wrap up our MLB talk. We'll be back here in a few minutes, going into some NFL news. And welcome back to the next round of sports, as we've got our next round as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're ready to jump into NFL news. The NFL's coming in hot and heavy. We've had our first preseason games come in, not going through scores because it's preseason. It does not matter. It doesn't matter.
It's true.
It's true. And anybody saying that's a Cowboy hater is like, oh, you lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shut up. It's the preseason. It doesn't matter. The guys playing the majority of the snaps are guys that are not even going to be on a team or a practice squad this year. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Honestly, the joint practices are where most of these starters are getting their reps right now.
And yeah, I'd rather watch the joint practices than the preseason games because the preseason games don't mean shit. At least we have one less preseason game this year, so that's good.
Yes.
But the big news coming out is a lot of signings that just happened here recently. The biggest one is Dalvin Cook signing a 1-year deal with the New York Jets, and I think this is a very, very good signing for the Jets. They got Breece Hall coming back after his great rookie year from injury. He's coming back, and even though Dalvin Cook has had some injury, just coming off the PUP list, we talked about that earlier, Caleb, that he's coming off the PUP list. But at the same time, to have a two-headed running back monster, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, that's going to be really big for Aaron Rodgers.
Dalvin Cook's 28. It's very weird that they got released. Like I said, I mean, we were talking earlier, like, his yards per carry are his lowest in his career coming off last year, but his offensive line really didn't do him any favor. Yeah. I mean, he had the highest yards after hit, our first contact, in his entire career. But overall, this is a great signing for the Jets, like you say. I think this is a way they can ease Breece Hall into it, start Dalvin Cook on a heavy workload. He's a veteran. We know he kind of is injury prone, so if he gets a full workload and gets injured and Breece Hall's ready to go full time week 7 or whatever, great, switch him out. But that's going to be your dual-headed monster. Is that Breece Hall?
You're giving Aaron Rodgers another weapon. I mean, he's already got Garrett Wilson out there. I mean, they brought in Randall Cobb. They brought in Alan Lazard, guys he's familiar with. But Garrett Wilson's already,
I feel like your wife's just chanting wide receiver Jets Jets right now because I feel like they might actually get to the playoffs now.
It's absolutely
if this defense can hold together again like it did last year, they might actually make some noise.
With everything they've done offensively, they've done everything to bring Aaron Rodgers in and to make him happy and give him all the weapons that he needs. And Robert Saleh is a defensive coach.
Yes,
and he did a damn good job for the 49ers before they brought him over. He had a really good defensive line over there. And the Jets are looking the best they've looked in a while. The thing is, they still have to get over the Buffalo Bills. Because Buffalo is the team to beat.
You got the Bills, you got Patriots, Miami's be tenacious. Miami's not going away.
Miami's not going away. They're still looking good. The AFC East is looking some of the best they have. And bringing up the Patriots, another signing, Ezekiel Elliott is signing with the New England Patriots. And
he faces the Cowboys, I think, in October.
Yes, I think it's week 6, I believe.
Yeah, it's early on in the season they face each other. Let me double check.
They do. And
it might be week 4.
And even my wife, who's an avid Jets fan, asked me, how do you feel about Ezekiel, about Zeke signing with the Patriots? I go, good for him. I'm glad he finally signed with somebody. I don't see him doing much. Like, I don't know if he'll even knock Stevenson, their running back now, out, because I had Stevenson on my fantasy team last year and he did a decent job for me. I don't know what he's going to do with that, because the Patriots don't have a great offensive line. They don't. They've got a young quarterback that's going back there. Yeah, he could come in as a veteran presence, but Zeke's thing is running right up the middle. They don't have the line to support that.
Yeah,
no,
it's true.
I was one thing.
And the QB is not an all-star QB, so Zeke could be facing stacked boxes every time he's coming in too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another thing that I kind of found that sounding a little odd with New England is the fact that they already have Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not saying like he's a big time running back, but he's a big guy. So you figure
he's a good running back.
He would be someone that would have already addressed those goal line issues, unless if it's just for health issues. However, I'll say this.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is envisioning him as the next LeGarrette Blount. Maybe he's the goal line back.
I'll just say this: if you're going to sign, Dalvin Cook up to $8.5 million, and then sign Zeke Elliott to up $6 million, I mean, come on now, what a steal for the Jets! And then if I'm New England, I'm just throwing money that I have expendable. I mean, New England's going to be the worst team in the AFC East.
They will most likely be the last. This might be the toughest division now. With
they
the AFC
do, because
North coming in behind them.
Because right now,
week 4 for the Patriots, and week 2 for the Jets. By the way, for the Cowboys,
the Patriots have the worst quarterback in the AFC East, and that's no knock on Mac Jones,
right?
But
that's just
they
fact.
do when you're in a league, when you're in a division with Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, I mean.
Now I want to see Tua again after these concussion-led year. Make sure he's still the same guy. But
that's very, very true. He's got to make sure that. But I mean, even when he came back from the first one where he was knocked into oblivion, he still played extremely well, better than I thought he would. I know, because I traded him. I dropped him in one of my fantasy leagues, and he ended up tearing it up for the guy who won the championship. So I mean, we'll see what happens with that. They're still learning how the concussions are affecting guys over a time period, and that's a whole discussion for another time. But I mean, even if he is concussed, which it's hard to say, if the doctors are clearing him and everything's good to go, he's good to go. Even then, he's still a better quarterback than Mac Jones.
Yeah. This is true. There's no necessary knock on Mac Jones, but when you look at the ratings and the skills of the others, that's just where it is.
There's no knock on him. I mean, you are a professional quarterback. You're a starting professional quarterback. You can't knock that. But at the same time, when you're in the same division with Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers alone.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
That's where you are.
Exactly. No, I'm repeating what you said, because that's true. That's what it is. You're not going to be better than Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. And you're not going to be better than Josh Allen. You're not. Those are two of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's just what it is. But going from that, one thing that we talked about last week was were the Cowboys going to get Zach Martin signed? Well, they did. They did get him re-signed. They got him taken care of. So Zach Martin is back in the practice and got him paid. Everybody's happy. So
it's like, I mean, all I'm hearing is Jerry Jones is caving in to Zach Martin, and he should have, but they make it sound like the Cowboys lost out on this, which is just crazy to me. It's a win-win.
Well, that's something we talked about last week, is that, okay, yes, they're going to try to come back at a very Cowboy-friendly deal, and Zach Martin's agent's going to come back with a very Zach Martin-friendly deal, and they're going to try to find somewhere in the middle, but in the end, Jerry's going to bend, because you have to get the player, and he is going to go a little closer to Zach Martin's side than he wants to. So, of course, we already discussed this. We knew this was going to happen. If they didn't come back to that happy medium, it was going to lean more to the player, because he has that leverage of being the best guard, being loyal, taking that team-friendly deal before, and he deserves to get paid now, and he did. And Jerry had to bite the bullet on it, and that's the thing. This happens at every single negotiation for the Cowboys, is that Jerry Jones will try to give a team-friendly deal, but he'll end up paying a little bit more than he wanted to if the player is worth it.
Yeah. Very true.
He doesn't do it for everybody.
It's a 2-year deal, so we're gonna be here in another 2 years too.
Well, it's like just it was an addendum to his current contract of paying him more these 2 years.
It was reworking his initial deal.
So he's gonna make the money he deserves. Yeah, exactly. And they'll come back to the drawing board after that, after 2 years. But hey, he was able to get him back out of the field. Zach Martin's back. You've got him happy. That's what you needed to do. You needed to get him taken care of. Yeah, the pundits will say, "Oh, yeah, Jerry got bent over. It's a Zach Martin friendly deal." You know what? It's not a Zach Martin friendly deal. It's a Cowboy friendly deal. You needed him back. He needed to get paid, and you didn't break the bank and give him a new 6-year deal or something, whatever,
right?
Or a new 4-year deal. You just paying him more on the last 2 years that you had on it, which is what he deserves. And in 2 years, if something happens, you're able to move on. You're good to go. No, perfect deal that needed to be made.
Yeah. And so again, if you don't make this deal, here's all of a sudden a glaring weakness that Dallas has. So, and you got it done. I think it was good for both sides. I don't think anyone got screwed over or anything like that. I think all it is again that Zach Martin basically got, $8 to $9 million added to his final 2 years. And again, there's been talks about him perhaps retiring after the end of this contract. We don't know. But again, that's, we'll see.
Wouldn't surprise me with the longevity of offensive linemen. That would not surprise me at all. So pay the man.
Right.
He deserves to
pay him.
So therefore, all it is, he was scheduled to make $13.5 million this year, 14 the next. Now he'll make 18 this year, 18 the next. I think it's easy. We're done.
Yeah.
You probably have next to Larry Allen, and you could probably make the argument he may not be as good, he may be better rather than Larry Allen.
Okay, yeah. That's where we're going there for a second.
Offensive lineman in Cowboys history. So
right around on that.
Everyone works out. Everything is fine.
And you know where he went to college? Notre Dame. Fighting Irish.
Is that what it was for for Zach Martin?
Yes.
Right.
That's what it was. He needed the luck of the Irish is what he needed. That's what it was.
So our best guards have been Irish lately with Quentin Nelson and Zach Martin. And
oh, yes, absolutely. Quentin Nelson's going to be he's on his way to going to the Hall of Fame too if he continues.
That's one thing that Notre Dame does produce very well is interior offensive linemen.
Yes.
They've produced a lot of great interior offensive linemen. They really, truly have.
Offensive line.
So, and I've hated on the Irish before in the past. I have. I am wearing a Notre Dame. I am wearing a Notre Dame shirt. We stopped by there. My sister's at Notre Dame, and my son now wants to play baseball there. If he gets a full ride, absolutely, that's fine. I'll support it.
With a scholarship or with a tuition at Notre Dame when he's 18, will be $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I may be out begging on the street.
Yeah, I know exactly. Go to refrigerator school.
Don't need food. Son need tuition for
Notre Dame.
Every little bit helps.
Exactly. But
oh yeah.
So we talked about with all that right there, and a question I had for you, Caleb. A story I saw earlier today about how the offense coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens is taking in suggestions from Lamar Jackson. Your opinions on that?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Lamar Jackson said he found something on social media and thought it'd be good. Sent it over to the QB coach and said he'd forward it on to Todd. And they haven't implemented it yet, according to Lamar Jackson. But Todd says he likes it, and they're going to start putting it in the playbook.
So they're getting plays from TikTok.
Yeah, pretty much. Welcome to the new era of play calling. But anyway, more buy-in for Lamar Jackson is great. Yeah, more buy-in.
Do we want to start drawing up plays here on the show and then sending them out to, tagging, quarterbacks and seeing if we can do that?
Hey, I've got do we want to start doing that? I don't mind sharing.
Why not? Yeah, right. I've got one too. It's called the annexation of Puerto Rico.
All right, little.
And if you don't, I was going to say if you don't know that one, you need to watch Little Giants, and you'll thank me later.
Great,
right? Nah, yeah,
great movie. Ed O'Neill, fantastic.
Into a new system. Greg Roman was notoriously kind of standoffish from the players, so I think this is just a new era. Increased buy-in, keep Lamar happy. So I think it's going to be great. And Zay Flowers is still looking great too out there, even against extra competition of the Redskins.
Well, that's good.
So he might actually have a very strong rookie year, and as I kind of mentioned earlier, he might be one to look at on fantasy wise too.
Well, it might be just because even though he is a little older and injury prone, Odell Beckham is still going to draw some coverage. He's going to draw. He's going to draw your number one cornerback when it comes to that offense.
He drew the number one, yeah, but there was some very underthrown balls in the practice. So Lamar still got to get it going, but
they got to figure that out.
Timing issue, and
there is with that. But at the same time, when they line up on game one, the number one cornerback is going to be over on Odell Beckham, which leaves Zay Flowers with some other guys.
It could be on Bateman too.
Either one.
Slated to be back starting week 1 too.
Which leaves Zay Flowers with a second or third.
Yeah, he's most likely going to be your little slot
cornerback. So that gives some opportunity for him to get some stuff in the dump, especially the way Lamar's able to run around. And really, with them taking Lamar's suggestions in, they paid him. He's the guy. You got to make your guy happy. And when you make a guy as a coaching staff, whether you agree with it or not, if the higher ups pay the guy and make him your guy, he's the face of your franchise. That's who it is.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start catering to his strengths. You've got to start working to what's best for him. And if he's got suggestions to help make things better, if you don't work together, it's not going to work. So, as I'm joking and making fun of it, saying, oh, yeah, they're getting their plays off TikTok, yeah, that's the joke that's going to happen. But you know what?
Yeah.
If they're able to make it work, everyone's going to be doing it at that point. It's working together. And if you're not working together and trying to, make things fit, it's not going to work at all. You don't have a chance at that point. You at least now you're both working, marching to the same drum in the same step in the same direction. That's all you want, especially this point in the season. So I have no fault with it. It is what it is. So Jeff, you got any news out there in Tiger country?
So I would say by and large, this is, again, as we discussed ad nauseum, and we'll look back and laugh at what we freaked out about in the preseason. But it was a bit of a disappointing performance by the Bengals, and again, it's not because they lost. It's the fact that, again, there still appears to be a lack of depth at the offensive line that has not been addressed.
Well, they've tried to address it. They just haven't addressed it with the right players.
Right. And so we'll see when Orlando Brown comes in fully if that's going to work out or not.
Still liking that Lyle Collins pickup? Oh, sorry. Did I hit a sore spot? Oh, yeah. It's that sore spot in the offensive line.
Yep.
figure that out. And
sorry, I did. Oh yeah. That was personal. Apparently.
Are we done now? Or?
Okay, yes, I'm done.
And so the only other concern too is you stop laughing.
No, I can't.
Serious. This is dead fucking serious right now.
See, that's making me laugh harder. Yes, I know. I'm laughing at Lyle Collins. That's what I'm laughing at. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. And then so the other concern will be is the backup quarterback situation. I think we're looking to see some development from Jake Browning. He has not really developed at all. He's been the same. And Trevor Siemian seems to be even worse than he was when he was actually starting for Denver a few years ago. So
because he's Trevor Siemian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, the concern is that if anyone on the offensive line goes down, if the quarterback goes down, once again, it's not like, oh, maybe we can rebuild or maybe we could maneuver something like Dallas could or San Francisco. It's like the season's over and you're screwed. And nothing in that preseason game indicated anything different. So that's the concern right now.
So you're really more concerned now about Burrow's leg than you were when it first happened.
I would not say that.
It sounds like that when you're worried about the backup quarterback position.
What I'm concerned is if something were to transpire again, or if something were to happen, let's say if he needs to miss a week or two, it's almost got to the point where we're going to lose the game. We just don't have the ability to win.
You sound like Caleb last year with Lamar Jackson.
Well,
our backup QB situation ain't good either, though.
Well, I sure as hell wish I had Taylor Huntley right now. That's for sure. That to me is a solid backup quarterback who almost beat Cincinnati last year.
So, if it wasn't for the stupid 2-yard QB sneak.
If it wasn't for the
dumbest play call in NFL playoff history.
If it wasn't for the 94-yard Sam Hubbard fumble return for a touchdown, I don't.
Hey, Johnny Football's still out there. Go get Johnny Manziel.
Oh.
He's got his little special out right now. He's hot right there. Go get him in.
Has he figured it out now? Is that what I'm reading from that special?
Well, he figured out how to get away with huffing paint and doing drugs.
Paying people to take drug tests.
He was able to do all that.
Basically zero film.
We can talk about that another time. That was ridiculous altogether right now. But yeah, as you brought up San Francisco, of course, what we're seeing over there with Trey Lance. And I saw a meme earlier that showed, like it had Nick Bosa looking down like this, just head, but it's from the side, and said San Francisco fans watching their third overall pick, lose this, backup quarterback's position to Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And really, they drafted Trey Lance third overall, and he's going to end up being their number 3 because I've seen a lot of people talk about
the QB until he's dethroned.
There's no reason Brock Purdy should lose it because he has the team. He does. The team has his support for what he did last year. You can't take that away from him.
Trey Lance hasn't shown anything in preseason. In fact, I'd say his reads are worse than last year.
Trey Lance hasn't shown jack squat, and he's screwed himself. I mean, for San Francisco, thank God Brock Purdy is what he is so far. Now, may he regress? There's a possibility for him to have a sophomore slump. That could happen. But at the same time, they're in a good position right there because, you got Sam Darnold who comes in as an ultimate bus driver and can handle
I don't know if
the
that's a good thing to fall back on, but it's an okay one.
Also, Sam Darnold has a team to go with around supporting him as he has here in San Francisco because he didn't have it with the Jets. He didn't have it with Carolina.
Carolina was decent though.
But they're not what San Francisco weapons that they have. So if something happens to Brock Purdy, whether he just wets the bed as a sophomore slump or he, Lord forbid, gets injured, if Sam Darnold comes in with these weapons with this team and still fails, okay, you know what? I'm all aboard. This is his last chance to me. To me, this is the best team he's ever been able to play with. And if he can't succeed at that point, given the opportunity, by all means, he's done. Wash him out. Get him out of here. But
he's Josh Rosen.
he has Josh Rosen at that time. But to me, Darnold has this opportunity. Now, if he didn't go to San Francisco, let's say he went to Arizona. He's not going to do anything with them. So I mean, you give a guy that has had a rough
losing
time.
His team in NFL history, Arizona Cardinals.
Exactly. You give a guy that a quarterback that's had a rough spurt, and you put him on a good team. See what he's got. This is the opportunity. You're playing with players that you can actually show what you can get. So if something, Lord forbid, happens to Purdy and Darnold comes in, we'll see. If he sucks at that point and can't win anything at that point, by all means, get him out of the league. He's done. He was overrated. It's the number one over pick. But, I mean, that's the thing is that they're saying, oh, Sam Darnold's beating him, but Darnold was a number two pick. So, I mean, was he 2 or 3 pick?
I think third overall.
So, I mean, but Trey Lance has just looked atrocious. And I didn't like that pick when they drafted him.
I hated it.
I thought it was a reach at the time.
I hate it. I thought Zach Wilson was a stupid ass pick too.
Well, Zach Wilson was because he was too busy getting into MILFs.
Exactly.
I mean, he did play for the Cougars, so I mean,
that's his current team right now. Well,
exactly.
Yeah,
he's definitely not.
He's always on Team Cougar.
Yeah.
He's not. But the thing with Zach Wilson, and the good thing for him is that he now has Aaron Rodgers to actually show him things. And Aaron Rodgers at this stage in his career where, unlike it, I sent out the joke memes of Aaron Rodgers said, okay, I'll only go to the Jets if you trade for Jordan Love so he can sit behind me for 4 more years. You know?
Yep.
I think Aaron Rodgers at this point understands now a little bit more, okay, I'm at the end of my career. I actually, with a team that's actually spending on weapons and not just expecting me to win it all.
Aaron Rodgers might still be an asshole, but he was trying to do the right thing to look like in the preseason game.
I'm sure he's still an asshole. I'm not. At any point of me saying that, I'm not saying he's not an asshole. He's still an asshole. But at this point, I think he's a little bit more on that, Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino asshole, where it's like, I hate everyone, but I know my time's done, so I'm gonna train this random kid that I now got stuck with. And I could see him now not taking Zach Wilson under his wing, but being more of give him a tip here in there to help him in his career for when he leaves, more than he was with Jordan Love or with anybody else that was there. Where he's like, well, fuck you. You just stay behind me and watch greatness, Yeah. I still think he's a dick, but I think he's a little bit more softened. He's like half chub.
Half Woody.
Half Woody.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, goodness.
I'd still laugh at the visual of like him and Jordan Love at a press conference for the Jets. It's just like, Jordan Love's going to be my backup.
Well, no, that's that other joke is once Aaron Rodgers retires, they trade for Jordan Love. The Jets
I heard about that. Yeah.
Love.
Yeah, it was like 10 years later, the Jets will trade for Jordan Love, and then we'll continue the process from there on.
Yeah, Brett Favre, and then you got Aaron Rodgers.
And Jordan Love hasn't looked bad so far in Green Bay. He hasn't looked bad, but still, I don't know what else they have there besides Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Aaron Jones and that rookie Watson, I think his name was.
Watson
might be the only guys. Oh, they have Dobbs, I guess. Dobbs was catching a couple touchdowns out there in the preseason.
It's preseason stuff. Who should catch him against? So I mean,
yeah, right.
We'll see how that goes there. I still think that's Minnesota's division, even though I like Dan Campbell and what he's done in Detroit.
Yeah, very true.
Cousins is a better.
Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson's still there. Alex Madison is not a bad running back.
He's not a bad running back, but at the same day, as much as everyone gives Kirk Cousins shit, he's still a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Give him shit all you want. He's a better quarterback than Jared Goff, and you got to go with who's the best quarterback in there. Hey, maybe Justin Fields surprised everyone. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it. Although I did see a meme, and I'll bring this up because it felt really that I found very, very funny. And it had the Bears surprise everyone. Justin Fields surprise everyone, leads the Bears to the Super Bowl. They end up going up against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers throws a final second touchdown for the Jets to win the Super Bowl, screams, "I still own you," and retires at the end of the year. And the next year, the Bears are terrible.
or maybe like Brett Favre, maybe Aaron Rodgers will go to the Vikings after that.
It could happen because Cousins, if they don't do anything this year, I could see them getting rid of him, and then he leaves or maybe gets one more year, and then after that they bring Aaron Rodgers over.
Right.
It would just be poetic either way.
That would be circle of life.
Right. Well, good NFL talk. We'll take a quick break here, and we'll be back with some college football rankings. And welcome back from the break as we, the college football preseason rankings have come out, and there's, a lot of teams we expect to be where they were. There's a lot that, we personally feel like they may have been a little lower, a little higher than where they were. But you know what? I'm going to send this right over to Jeff, let him run away with that. Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, typically, when you look at a preseason college football poll, there's always one team that sticks out and says, how in the hell were they ranked that high? How in the heck did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
This season, I really don't see it. I feel that everyone seems to be fairly appropriately ranked. I mean, again, you could always nitpick and say, oh, hey, this team should be there, this team should be there. But by and large, I really think this is a very solid poll. The only thing that I will say is just two teams to keep an eye on are the Pitt Panthers and the ACC. I think they're going to be in the ACC championship game this year.
And right now in the AP polls, they are not ranked.
Exactly. And the reason is I think a lot of people are overreacting to the departure of Keaton Slovis going to BYU, and people are wondering who their quarterbacks could be. But again, the strength of schedule of the ACC for Pitt is really not that difficult. They have a solid defense still with Pat Narduzzi leading them at the helm. I think they're going to be, with their favor schedule and with that defense, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. Also, another team, and again, this always is a team, as y'all know, growing up in this part of the country, that I think could be reckoned with. And this is a team that really hasn't got very many votes at all. But I'm going to bring up Oklahoma State. I think this is a team that could be very, very good. This is a team that, even though they're not bringing a whole lot of starters back, they're bringing enough back, and they're a veteran team. I remember a couple years ago when they had all these 23, 24-year-old players, and then they're able to really, uh, I guess for lack of a better phrase, put the smack down on, these young teams with 5-star recruits like Texas, OU. They took care of those teams. And I think this is the same model of Oklahoma State. This is where Oklahoma State excels at. It seems like every time when Oklahoma State is ranked, say, 9th or 10th, they always underachieve. But then when they're outside the top 25, they always overachieve. And again, when you have a Big 12 schedule right now with 14 teams in the conference, you're going to get a favorable schedule at times. I think Oklahoma State's going to get that. So the teams for me to watch out for are Oklahoma State and Pittsburgh.
I'd have to disagree with you a little bit there, Jeff. There's definitely a team that stands out that is not like the others, and that's Michigan. Michigan. Are you serious? Get out of there. They got hot at the end of last season. I mean, they lost their talent. Ohio State, they've lost their QB, but you still got Marvin Harrison Jr., probably the number 1 wide receiver going into the draft coming in.
Yeah, could be number 2 overall.
Yeah, USC still got Caleb Williams. Yeah, he lost Jordan Addison, who I think was the best receiver in this last draft, but Caleb Williams was the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, so
both those teams I'd put above Michigan now.
He's still got to win it, barring injury. I mean, he's slotted to be the winner for it, but he's got to win.
No, he won the Heisman last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he won it last year, but for him to win it again this year, that's what I'm talking about. Because everybody's already talking about that he's going to win it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, to me, Michigan doesn't belong in the top 10.
What?
Maybe 8 if I'm being generous. But
before we go any further on this,
for sure. But
before we go any further on this, let's go ahead and list out the top 10, just for anyone who's just listened in who hasn't looked it up or anything right there. In the AP poll, Georgia's ranked number 1, Michigan number 2, Ohio State number 3, Alabama number 4. At 5, we have LSU. At 6, USC. At 7, Penn State. At 8, Florida State. 9, Clemson. And 10, Washington. That's what we're sitting at right now in the AP. Now, if you go over to the coaches poll, you have Georgia, Michigan still at 1 and 2. Alabama and Ohio State are switched. Alabama 3, Ohio State at 4. LSU still at 5. You have USC at 6, Penn State at 7, Florida State at 8, Clemson at 9, Tennessee at 10. So a little parity there with coaches poll.
With Tennessee being there above Washington, and I mean Alabama should be above Michigan too. Let's just be honest there. But
Michigan, they're giving the benefit of the doubt. I think they believe that they have better players than Alabama, which is hard to believe. I know it's hard to say that, but Michigan has a lot of guys that came back. I think they're giving Michigan basically the benefit of the doubt of, hey, we're putting you here, and now you have the chance to lose it. We're giving you the chance to lose it.
I guess so. That's the only thing that can even make partial sense there to me.
No, that's exactly what it is. Because look, Michigan State's beaten Ohio State the past 2 years in a row, and they have Ohio State at home again. So in theory, you would have to rank them ahead. Now, I do not, in my opinion, I think Ohio State's going to go undefeated. I think they're going to win they're going to go 12-0. They're going to go to Michigan, and they're going to beat Michigan, and they're going to win the Big Ten championship. I also think Michigan's going to lose to Penn State. So I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, based on how preseason polls are formed, you have to put Michigan at that spot right now because Michigan has beat them 2 years in a row and badly. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but this is how you have to set up the preseason poll. And again, preseason poll doesn't necessarily mean what's going to happen.
Yeah. We've seen these things shake out. We've seen, what was it? We saw last year, I think, the number one fall out of the top 25 and not even make the playoffs, whatever. Or a couple of years ago, there was a number one that fell all the way out of the top 25 preseason wise.
I don't know about that far, but yes, there's been, but.
Were you thinking basketball? Were you thinking basketball? Is that what you're thinking of?
I may be jumping sports there. Sorry.
I was about to say North Carolina. They didn't even make the tournament, so there's that.
Exactly, and we did have that conversation or talks beforehand. But yeah, it is surprising that your top 4 teams are all Big Ten, SEC teams, as far as the AP poll goes. You got Georgia and Alabama.
Put a Pac-12
you got Michigan. Well, you don't, but USC comes in at 6th.
This is going to be a strong Pac-12.
Yeah.
And that right there, and this is their last year in the Pac-12 before they join the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be in the Big Ten right there. So let's just say, if you're counting them as a Big Ten school, 1 SEC, 2 Big Ten, 3 Big Ten, 4 SEC, 5 SEC, 6 Big Ten, 7 Big Ten. You don't get another school outside of that till you hit 8 at Florida State, who's still ACC, which there are rumors about them joining the SEC or the Big Ten. Then you've got Clemson right after that, then Washington, who's going to be joining the Big Ten right after that. Your first Big 12 school this year, which they're going to be an SEC team next year, is Texas at 11.
You're going to have basically a Big 3 of conferences. I mean, that's what you're going to have.
Exactly.
Maybe a Big
the
4,
Power 5 is gone. There is no Power 5 anymore. That's done.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, some of these rankings, like especially in college basketball, I know I'm jumping sports again, some of these automatic bids are going to have to go away because the Power 5 is just not there anymore. That doesn't hold as much weight.
Everything that's happened because
back to the preseason.
In all of these realignments and these teams jumping to different conferences is all football related. But that's the thing we talked about last week is that what ramifications this has on other sports. And that you bring up a great point there, Caleb, is what's that going to happen as far as NCAA seeding? Okay, now we don't have a Power 5 in that. That completely affects the way a lot of these things are. Now, a lot of these teams that are great football teams aren't also great basketball teams. So it shouldn't affect it too much, but that is a conversation to be had is, okay, you have Texas and Oklahoma going over, which have at times have had good basketball teams, and you're bringing them in the SEC, which has normally been dominated by Kentucky. Yeah, you have Alabama who's shown up every while, recently here with Avery, with Avery Johnson. And, he's now gone, but, they bring in a new coach. Yeah. They actually were looking good. We're number 1 seed, even though they got thumped because I thought they were way highly rated. Tennessee's had good teams, that has an effect with all of that, especially with USC and UCLA, who's been a very good basketball school now going to the dealing in the Big Ten basketball. So and
they're one of the few
that does have an effect on a lot of those other things. So that there's going to be a lot of ramifications coming in this realignment, more than just football, that are going to be seen. And really, the second top one to that is going to be the NCAA tournament that we're going to have, which for our aspect gives us a lot of content to talk about once we start getting to that March Madness for that aspect. When this conference realignment does happen, that's going to be a lot of things we can talk about at that point and bring up, because it's going to be really interesting how this happens in the March Madness and in these other sports as you go into baseball, women's sports, everything else. What's going to happen with this realignment?
And softball, baseball, softball. Basketball, crazy.
One thing that I want to bring up here, and I just want to see what y'all's thoughts are on it. You see Oregon State there 18 in both polls. I think this team has the ability to perhaps go at least 10-2, if not 11-1. I have them going 11-1 going against USC in the Pac-12 championship game. Now, if
you've been a big Oregon State fan though for years, you've said this about them for multiple years, and they have yet to fulfill that. So
they've been the Padres of college football, Jeff.
Have you seen Oregon State these last years?
10-3, I have not, actually.
7-6 from the dead.
You said 7-6 there. Did I hear you right? 7-6.
Yeah,
that's a good year.
But they were coming from 2-10, 1-11 consistently.
In the Pac-12, which we all know is dead.
Okay, but it's still not dead this year. If Oregon State, play me out here.
All right.
Play me out here. If Oregon State were to go to the Pac-12 championship game this season, does the Big 12 extend them a bit?
Probably not. Big 12 is too stingy. They just don't give bids to people.
Really?
They probably should. But, I mean, now they've added Colorado and a couple other teams.
I don't think
they're going to add anybody
jack
else.
shit in 15 years.
Yeah, but they got Deion primetime.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
they got
what
primetime. You got that Cowboys reference.
When Deion leaves, then what happens?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're cashing in on primetime money right now. That's
Colorado
what it is.
has a history of Big 12 too. They used to be.
Yeah, they were in the Big 12 beforehand, so they have a history with it. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I'll say I'm not arguing they shouldn't extend.
Okay.
It,
so basically, the thing is, you're asking.
Oregon State would 11-1 and go to the Pac-12 championship game.
Okay.
They're not even going to consider giving them a bid.
No. Okay.
Yeah. The Big 12.
First off,
so you'll just let them go to the Mountain West and get some chicken shit ACC.
We just said we agree they probably should if that happens, but they're not going to do it.
Jeff. Okay. We're going hypotheticals here.
Yes.
Hypothetically, they go 11-1, which you believe they could
7-6 like they did 1 year.
But okay, let's go. Does Vegas think they're going to do that? Because that's what's going to come down to. I mean, when it comes down to betting or going, not just betting, just guessing what things are going to go, let's go off with Vegas, because there's a reason why you can really go off Vegas, because they don't like to lose.
I
So
understand that. So I'm just,
let's
this
see.
is just
Let's
a
see.
hypothetical question.
It is a hypothetical question.
If they did that, could they?
And hypothetically, as a member of the Big 12, if I'm a member sitting there going, okay, am I going to bring Oregon State in? Okay, they went 11-1. We'll say hypothetically they did. Okay. What have they done in the past 10 years coming up to this point? Are they just playing well at this point to get themselves into a better conference? What can we expect for that? Do we expect them to do that? Because they don't have the success that Oregon has had.
And Oregon's not going to the Big 12, are they?
They're not. But at the same time, if you had your choice of Oregon or Oregon State, who are you going to take?
What my response to that would be, what's Colorado done the past 10 years? What's Arizona?
You are deflecting from the question. Are you taking the Beaver or are you going Quack? Because I'm telling you right now, if I have the choice between those two schools in Oregon, Quack, Quack, Quack.
Of course, I'm not saying that.
Ducks.
But that's not an opportunity anymore. So what I'm
not saying. That's not what I'm saying.
What has Arizona done in the past 10 years in football? What has Arizona State done the past 10 years in football?
What has Oregon State done?
What has Colorado done the past 10 years of football?
Those three schools have done more than what Oregon State has done. How many pros has Oregon State put out? How many pros has Oregon State put out?
I don't give a damn
Marco
about pros.
Murray's like the only guy I can think of.
They're about going to bowl games. Oregon State, I bet you, has made more bowl games than those.
They go bowl games all they want to. Those other schools are doing better in basketball as well as long as other sports. No, it is, but they have to put everything out to that.
State done in basketball? What's Colorado done in basketball?
More than the others. Come on, they have better full-on programs than that.
Basketball? You want to talk about basketball? You know who made the two? You know who made the Elite Eight in 2021? You want to know who that school was? That was Oregon State, pal.
2021. What have they done since then?
Yeah.
Nothing. But they've done just as much as Colorado and Arizona. And
Elite Eight. We made the Elite Eight. We made the Elite Eight in 2021. Woo! Let's put
Arizona State made an Elite Eight, if I'm not too right. I'm going to go back to it.
No, they didn't.
3 or 4 years ago.
What are you talking about? What has Colorado done? What is
not Colorado? Arizona State, you
Arizona, where the hell have they been? It's
regardless.
1997
Stop being a salty cracker.
Yeah, stop being salty.
Disagree with you that they shouldn't, but will they? No.
If Oregon State wants a chance to get into better than the Mountain West, they need to go, like you said, 11-1 and beat USC in the Pac-12. If they want a chance.
Yes. But they're not
a chance. You asked us, do we think that they will? No. But if they want the opportunity to be discussed, they need to do that. Because if they come out with, let's see, you said 11-1. If they come out with 8-4 season, it's not happening.
Yeah.
If
even a 10-win season probably doesn't get it.
That's what I said. That's what hypothetical.
If Oregon State,
why are you being so salty on a hypothetical?
I'm just saying that I'm trying to.
In my opinion, if Oregon State wants to get invited to the big kids table, if they want to be there, I think they need to come out and win Pac-12.
Sure.
And not just win the Pac-12, they need to get to the championship game, and they need to embarrass whoever they're playing. They need to come out and play with a fire. They need to show.
If they beat the shit out of USC,
especially because it could highly be USC.
Gabe, they're getting a freaking bid.
If they come to USC, if they come to the championship game and they beat Caleb Williams, who's won the Heisman, they're going to have a Heisman favorite, and they could come out and just embarrass them, like beat the hell out of them. Or even if they don't beat the hell out of them, even if it's a hard fought game, and they don't win it just like a penalty field goal at the end of the game, they actually it's an actual game where it's hard. Like they come out and they drive it down and are able to get a legitimate field goal at the end to win the game. It's an actual hard fought game. And then make some noise at the college football playoffs. I could see these big conferences then going, hey, we'll extend them a bit.
Hypothetical. That's all.
But that's not what you said.
Why are you so salty?
That's not what you said. I gave a little more detail into what needs to be done. Like they can't just be 11-1 and go to the championship, go to the Pac-12 championship and lose to USC and then be done. No, there needs to be some proof put into it because they don't have the credentials. If they did, they already would have been signed like everybody else has been poached in Pac-12.
True.
Yeah, that Arizona football.
So they're in prove me mode. Hey, you have the opportunity. Here's your opportunity. Prove it. Do it. You got the opportunity.
Weird thing too. I'm gonna make a note of this. You could have the Mountain West merge into the Pac-12. And maybe the Mountain West goes away and just becomes the Pac-12 type of thing.
We've seen a lot of talk about that, but we've also discussed that between ourselves is how does that benefit, Oregon State, Stanford, and Cal? But at the same time, when you only have 4 schools left, And Washington State. I forgot Washington State. My fault.
They don't have any talk.
The Cougars. But what can you do at that point? I mean, you're no longer either you join one of the bigger conferences or you go ahead and bring these teams in because you don't have a choice. You're not a power conference anymore. There's nothing you can do. They were the ones that got left holding the stick at the end of the game. Everyone else jumped ship, and they were the ones sitting there holding the stick. Sometimes you're the one doing that. You should have moved sooner. You should have saw the right. As the Arizona State athletic director said, we saw the writing on the wall. And we didn't want the Pac-12 to leave, but we saw the writing on the wall. And we made the move when we needed to make the move. It is what it is. That's when the Pac-12 died. So, all right. Any other conversations you guys wanted to have about college football?
I just
feel like we hit a bunch of points there right there. Just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anything along those lines. Of course, as the season gets into depth, we'll go more in depth into the games that are going on through the top 25 along with the local sports along that way. But we'll be back here in a few moments with everyone's favorite segment, What the F, with Jeff.
Beavers.
What the f? And welcome back, everyone, to everyone's favorite segment of the Next Round Sports, and that is What the F with Jeff. So, Jeff, what the F?
Again, this is not Oregon State Beaver talk. I promise. We already addressed that.
I don't believe you.
No.
Right.
So
You'll sneak it in
State Jonathan Smith. No, I'm done. So we're going to talk about the story of Michael Oher. And again, you all remember the movie at least, and then I've been able to read the book as well. I actually had to read it in high school. It's a great book. But then also to the movie, I'm sure y'all have seen. But now the story appears as to what it used to be. So basically, what's transpired, the start on Monday, Michael Oher, again, the subject of the book, says that the couple who took him in as a teenager when he was in the ghettos in Memphis, that's Leanne and Sean Tuohy, they placed him in a conservatorship. So the quote from the petition from his legal team, the lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which co-conservatives Leanne Tuohy and Sean Tuohy have enriched themselves at the expense of Michael Oher. So basically what they are stating right now, just in layman's terms, is that they never actually adopted him. Basically, the Tuohys used his story to create a movie and sign contracts with 20th Century Fox that provided their daughter and their son, their biological son and daughter, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's see, exactly $225,000. The film grossed over $300 million. $200,000 was made to Leanne Tuohy's charitable foundation. The petition stated that Michael Oher made no money off this movie, and the petition also accuses the Tuohys of a breach of their fiduciary duty as conservatives, so gross and appalling that they should be sanctioned by this court. The Tuohy's response today was, in reality, the Tuohy's opened their home to Mr. Orr. This is a quote from their lawyer. Offered him structure, support, and most of all, unconditional love. They have consistently treated him like a son and one of their 3 children. His response was to threaten him, including saying that he would plant a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. Obviously, this is a very mess turned into a great story, and now it's been very messy. Also, their attorney has called Orr's claims outlandish, and they claim the Tuohy family attorney also claims that Orr is not only offensive but transparently ridiculous. So my response to y'all is, what the F? I'm asking y'all to figure this out, because this is some crazy shit.
Well, to me, in my opinion, is this a story that is Michael Orr is portraying it as? Okay, to me, when this comes down, okay, he has been retired since 2016. So that's been 7 years, and this story is just now coming out now. Okay, if this was a fact of I've been screwed over by this family who apparently took me in and took everything, helped bring me up to where I was actually able to get into college and actually get into the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you take 7 years from your retirement to actually bring this out as a story? That's where I find some big question marks here.
Yeah, but I'd also think, if you signed something that long ago, who knows? And you think it was adoption papers, you may not question that.
Well, no, you cannot be adopted legally as an 18-year-old.
You can, you cannot by the state law. You can.
It depends by the state law, because I looked it up as well too. And at the state law at that time, you cannot be at 18 adopted legally, but you can be done as a conservatorship.
No, they could have been adopted, and it didn't take much by the state law they were in.
Well, that's a whole other conversation there. But at the same time, you have lawyers doing all of this. Mm-hmm. So does it come down to the lawyers? Does it come down to all this? But at the same time, this whole excuse giving by, which I'm not trying to throw Michael Orr under the bus. I'm just trying to play this devil's advocate here on this. Okay, if you had a problem with it when it came out, when the movie came out, when you were playing football, when you just started, there's no excuse. I don't have time to deal with all this. That's why you just got paid money to play football, millions of dollars that you could pay a lawyer if you have a problem with that time to look into this. Not 7 years after you've retired.
He might not have cared about that.
It doesn't. No, he has said that he cared about it, because he brought up in the report that I watched that he thought something was, that he had problems with the movie that came out, but he was too busy starting his football career that he didn't, as his lawyer said, didn't have time to deal with that at the moment. Well, I'm sorry, if you felt like you were losing that much money, then you probably should deal with that at the point, and you can pay a lawyer with your football money to take care of it. Too. It is. You're getting not to the statute of limitations, but at the same point, it's like, why didn't you bring this up when the movie was made, when you first got drafted? Why are you bringing it up now, 7 years after you have retired from the league? Is it now because, statistics show that most NFL players blow through all of their money and don't reinvest it and don't redo it? It's this to the point that, hey, you've now blown through your NFL money and now you're looking for a payday, which is why he then before this came out, he asked the Tui family for a $15 million payout, or he would bring out a negative story.
If he supposedly did, that could be a fabricated story too. We don't know. But at the same time, if you look at the laws of the conservatorship, this is more for disabled people.
It is
people who can't make their own decisions.
It is.
You're talking
but
about
at the same time, you cannot fully adopt a person at 18 years old.
You can't.
You can't.
The Athletic backed it up. I can quote you in the Athletic where they reported that you can.
Then put up the story, and I will go back and show it right there. And if the law's there, then okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point does that law then show that you can't give them money for that? I mean, there's just too many unanswered questions that I have for this. We're speculating.
I mean, you could also say, he's angry at the fact that he thought he was family now with these people, and it comes to find out he's not. I mean, there's some anger there, I'm sure.
But at the same time, how many years has this passed? This conversation could have happened earlier, and I'm sure it has happened earlier. So why is it now happening now, 7 years after you retired? To me, that's just showing too many. I didn't manage my money well, and I'm now looking to get a pay.
Or maybe
I'm trying to get a payday back.
A business decision, and due to the conservatorship, he can't sign contracts. The Tuies have to sign contracts for him. So maybe he's trying to do some kind of shoe deal outside of it, or be a Shaq and sign a Papa John's. He can't do any of that.
No,
because of the conservatorship.
That ends after a while. It doesn't happen later on in your life. You don't have that conservatorship forever. And that's what even the Tuies have said. It's that the conservatorship ended at 25. It could have been extended, but it ended at 25. He could have contested it before then, and it could have ended, but he didn't. So it's past the conservatorship point. To me, this looks like I didn't manage, and I'm just speculating. I don't know.
We know,
but I'm speculating. By this coming out now, 7 years after you've retired from football, now this is a huge big deal that you didn't manage your money that you had, and now
we don't know if it's money. Like you said, that's a hypothetical.
It's money.
It all comes.
Everything comes down.
It's going to come down to money. It is.
It all comes down to money. He didn't manage his money. He's going broke, and he needed a payout.
We don't know if he's going broke. There have been no reports from either side that he's going broke.
The other side said that he asked for a $15 million payout. That's you're going broke.
They said. We don't know if that's true or not. We don't know if that's true or not. That could be a fabricated story.
It could be a fabricated story, but then why in the hell are you pulling this out 7 years?
You don't know he's going broke.
You retired 7 years ago, and now you're crying about money? I'm sorry. If it sounds like a duck, it sounds like a duck. It walks like a duck. It's a damn duck. That's what it is.
Or it could be a dinosaur. We just don't know what the fuck it is.
It's a duck.
Sean Tuohy responded to the Daily Memphian, which is the newspaper in Memphis, and I think he actually brought up some legitimate arguments here. So basically, the deal is, y'all may or may not know, or our viewers or listeners may not know, Sean Tuohy is an All-American point guard at Ole Miss in the early 80s. He would qualify as a booster under NCAA rules. And then the quote is that Michael was obviously living with us for a long time, and the NCAA didn't like that. He told the Daily Memphian, and they said this is a quote, they said the only way Michael could go to Ole Miss was if he was actually a part of the family. I sat Michael down and said, and told him, if you're planning to go to Ole Miss or even considering Ole Miss, we think you have to be a part of the family. This would do that, quote unquote, legally. We contacted lawyers who had told us that we could adopt over the age of 18. The only thing we could do was to have a conservatorship. We were so concerned it was on the up and up that we made sure the biological mother came to court. which he ultimately did. And so that is 100%. I mean, again, we don't know what Sean Tuohy is saying is 100% true, but that is completely plausible in my mind. That's why the conservatorship was set up initially. And again, Sean Tuohy was a again. Look, was it nice? Would it have been nice to him to make extra money from the movie and hundreds of thousands of dollars for the kids? Sure, but they were so well off already. They didn't.
They were well off. They were well off. They didn't need the money, but at the same time, they took in a young man. They brought him into his family. They took care of him, and is that wrong that they got a little bit of benefit for a kindness? They didn't have to take him in.
And we don't even know for sure what they got. That's just alleged from Michael Oher's suit.
But at the same time, they didn't know what they took it in. Okay, they did a good deed. They didn't have to take Michael Oher in. We never would have had the blind side. We never would have known about it. Maybe he would have got some word from not being, maybe. We don't know what would have happened if they wouldn't have intervened. So at the same time, if not saying that they leveraged him, but if they ended up getting some benefit because of their good deeds, why is that a bad thing?
I mean, like I
said, and I'll probably come and when this goes live, I may look bad in this aspect, but I'm playing that devil's advocate of what did they do wrong?
If they're saying what they're saying and everything's on the up and up and what they were told and everything, then yeah, I mean, they necessarily should be.
I'm not saying Michael Oher's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong in what he said. I'm just saying that there's why wasn't this brought up then? Why is this brought up now, 7 years after you retired? There's questions I have. That's not me faulting you. I'm not saying you're wrong in what you're saying. I'm not saying that what you're telling me is not true. Right. I just have questions of why did it take you so long to bring this up? If you felt this way, why was this not a story when the movie came out? If it's all about the movie, why is it now this long after all of it that it's coming out? It just, I have questions.
I'm not sure if it's just about the movie, but yeah, no, I feel you.
Well, I'm not saying it's just about the movie either. I'm just saying, hey, the movie came out when you first started football, and in the stories I was reading, we were too involved with our finances starting football. Well, I think you could have been involved with your finances with a movie and everything else, and not just football. That's a little ridiculous explanation for that. I'm too involved with starting football. I can't deal with my finances now. No, you can pay other people to deal with your finances. So you can't use that as an excuse, is that I couldn't deal with my finances and why I couldn't ask this question beforehand. And I'm now doing it now 7 years after I retired. Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Now, Michael Oher also saying this conservatorship never was terminated. Well, so it's supposed to be at 25.
No, it terminated at 25.
He said it never terminated. He's saying it never terminated. So I'm just saying.
Every conservatorship, all the conservatorships terminate at 25.
It also, too, just to piggyback on, or just not to piggyback, but just another note to make is that he did have time to write an autobiography in 2011.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about with that. There's a lot. Anybody who wants to jump in on with that as well. Not saying he's lying, but I just find it very, very fishy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's questions from both sides, in my opinion, for
sure. That you waited this long for this to be that good of a story that they made a great movie about it, which is a great movie. It is. I love Sandra.
Yeah, we know.
I'm a big Sandra Bullock, Jennifer Aniston, huge fans. But with that, it just seems fishy that now all of a sudden he's come out and said, "Oh, this isn't perfectly accurate." Well, it's not. Most based on the stories aren't accurate. But at the same time,
he said that before. That's not fully accurate. But now he wants to. I don't know.
To me, it's starting to seem like a money grab. That I lost all my money from playing, and now I need money to. Not saying gambling debts, but what I'm trying to recoup what I lost and get some money back. That's what it seems like to me.
It's possible it's a money grab. It could be.
Well,
but at the same time, we don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
Reports of being poor, mismanaging money, or losing things, or whatever.
Absolutely.
Any of the Baltimore media either. So we don't know his finances.
I'm not saying that's exactly what it is. I'm making a speculation off of the information that I have in my research.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm making the speculation on. I don't know what is legal.
That's true. That's a good point. I just bounced up it too. You got Britney Spears conservatorship that didn't end at 25.
Yeah, it didn't.
So they can't go
regardless,
on.
It's
who knows if it
very
has.
Sad. Regardless, very sad situation.
Such a good story tarnished is definitely sad.
It's a good. At the end of the day, it's a good story tarnished, and that's what is terrible. And I mean, we're gonna find details about this, and as it comes up, we'll discuss it as it is. I mean, Hey, and that's the thing. That's the wonderful thing about our podcast is that the conversations we have, we're able to change our mind, and especially if we're given facts that prove us wrong, we're able to change it, and that's always good. Hey,
video.
There's times we'll do what we need to do, and we'll stand by.
Sometimes
we'll
get our
do it. But you know what? If we're ever wrong, we'll apologize to go back.
And then we're not eat crow for beavers. So
we are not eating crow on.
Get
Oregon
the
State.
out of
you
here,
shut the hell up. That's not happening.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
All right. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with Sports Gumbo.
That's good. That's good. Man, that's good. That's what you call gumbo. Poor man gumbo.
And welcome back from the break as we're into the last segment of the evening. It's called our Sports Gumbo, where we just throw a little bit of everything into it. Anything maybe we forgot, anything, whatever. It's the Sports Gumbo. It's all thrown in because it all comes out good, whatever you throw it into. We know how that Cajun goes. So one thing in the Sports Gumbo we wanted to bring up definitely is one thing we forgot about in baseball. Jordan Montgomery, who's pitching tonight for the Rangers. He was in the trade with the Rangers from the Cardinals, and Chris Stratton came over as well. I want to apologize to Montgomery and Stratton that I did not bring them up when we were talking about earlier, because they have both been phenomenal since they've come over to the Rangers.
Yep. They have definitely looked good and returned, I guess, more towards the mean as was predicted by some of the baseball talking heads, where they might have been a little on the bad side, but they're definitely killing it while they're here.
You didn't apologize to them. You just insulted them right there. You said, "Oh, they're okay," but like,
no, I said I agree. They're good, sir. But some of the talking heads said they were bad, but they're going to return to the mean because they think with a better team they're going to be in a better position.
Well, there you go for listening to talking heads. Yeah, I'm not listening to the talking heads.
You just ruined the apology. You said, "Yeah, you're good."
Well,
but
make
it
better for me, Jeff. Say stuff good about them. Say the good stuff.
Yes, I will. Jordan
Get to
Montgomery, 6 innings earned, 9 strikeouts tonight. What do you want?
What a perfect game, Jeff. That's what I want.
Apparently,
he's great. He's great. He's been great. He's great. We need to talk about more about him.
DFW sports fans are so ungrateful. It's because they think everyone's he's not a superhuman, but then we'll follow the 8-8 Cowboys. It's ridiculous. That's pathetic.
Montgomery's been great. He had a great night tonight, especially in the wind here this evening. But one of the lesser known, names that people aren't going to know is Chris Stratton, who got brought in, a relief pitcher, and he has not given up a single run since he's come in. He's been in 5 games. He's pitched 11 innings, and 3 innings against the Giants, which we ended up losing that game. But he did not give up a single run in those 3 innings, and I think that was one, in the trade when we brought that up. He was someone who we said was okay. He's a Bruce Bochy guy. He was with the Giants at the end of Brucey's run there with the Giants. He's a guy that, we could see maybe doing long term. We didn't know for sure. We'd have to see how it goes. We were thinking at the time Martin Perez being our long inning guy, just because he'd be the odd man out when it came to the starters.
Yeah.
However, in his last, 5 games, Stratton put 3 innings, inning and a half, 2 innings, inning and a half, 2 innings.
We had 3 innings, I think, not too long in a row.
Good. In all of these, he has not given up a run. He's given up a few hits, had a few strikeouts, but no runs given up in his tenure with the Rangers. So at that point, are we now looking at Stratton maybe being our long inning guy over Martin Perez?
100%.
He could be.
It doesn't look like, and again, maybe this is just perception, but sometimes perception is reality. It doesn't seem like that Martin is very interested in being a long relief guy, but the reality is that his performance didn't equate to him being in the rotation anymore. I mean, he's not going to do.
That's how Joaquin Benoit became the long reliever.
He's simply not going to do what Jordan Montgomery did. So,
and Martin did come in relief for Matt Scherzer last night.
Yes.
And come in and finish the end of the game.
Do I want to just ruin and jinx this argument right now? I hope.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you feel like
you
need to. Why not? Whatever. We'll fix it. We'll fix it in post. It's all right.
Stratton gave up 2 earned tonight.
That's all right.
But it's okay. It's okay.
Still got the win too.
No, but I don't think
it's all that matters.
Yeah,
the win. That's all that matters. Just win the game.
Okay. And again, you're always going to. And again, nobody's perfect, and so
exactly.
And look, I think Stratton was a great pickup. He has great stuff. He's familiar with Bochy. I think it's a fantastic pickup. And again, as we've talked about ad nauseum, he is going to be the long relief man. Again, no one's perfect. Chapman's not perfect. Will Smith certainly is not perfect. But
it's gonna happen. They're gonna have a bad game. You just have that's the game of baseball. You have to plan on, okay, let's have our bad games in April. Let's have our bad games in June. Let's don't have him in September.
Yeah,
because
let's have the bad games when we're kicking the Angels' ass.
Exactly. Let's have our I'm all for having bad games in August if we don't have them in September.
Yes,
because
exactly.
that's going into the playoff run, and that's when you bring these guys in. You bring in a Aroldis Chapman because they've been through this through September. They've been through this time. They've been through this grind of winning games when you need to win games. They're in this point where it's okay. It doesn't matter if we lose a series or two here because we can make it up later. No, we don't need to lose any series right now. Okay, we can lose one game, but we cannot lose a full series because the Astros are right on our ass. We have to stay consistent. And that's why I feel, again, as I say it again, the repetition, we have Bruce Bochy
and
as our manager. And we have Mike Max.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great coach, a great manager, and we have the best pitching coach in the league.
Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue with them. Until we get knocked out, until we're told, hey, we either lose the lead to the Astros and then we get knocked out in the wild card. Until we get to that point, I'm not going to lose faith.
Yeah. And right now, your off-season shopping list is reliever and maybe backup catcher.
Yeah.
And just think if we started this podcast or if we've done this podcast for the past 6 years, we're not even discussing the Rangers at this point. They're not. It's not a non-grata at this point.
Yeah.
We'd mention them, but
we would mention them.
How
we would be talking pitcher, but it would be like, hey, they gotta prove, something. This is bullshit. They gotta prove something.
We'd be debating whether they'd be losing 100 games.
Absolutely,
that's what we'd be doing.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
I know there were some other things that you guys were wanting to throw out here that we hadn't hit yet.
Jeff's got a good
jump
one
right
coming up. I'll let him go first.
Well, no, but you're just the whole.
Since we're doing apologies and I screwed them up, I'll let you start first.
You're like foggy.
Go for it, sweet cheeks.
You're like going back to the future, Caleb. Right now, you're gonna like disappear in the photo or something.
I don't want to hear your excuses, Jeff.
No, I'll go ahead and go. And I know this is a very simple story, and I know this is not very hard hitting, but it needs to be addressed. Is the fact that
it needs to be said.
Our local hero Dirk Nowitzki got inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend, and he had the statue built right in front of the AAC earlier this year. Thankfully, they got rid of the initial anal beads that were attached to his statue. But the thing is that it was just so great to see Dirk on that stage, on that national stage. Everyone realizing how the greatness of Dirk. And also,
I don't think they realized it. I think they were reminded of it, of just his humility, and he for years he was able to poke fun at himself.
Yeah, and he was the face of the European wave movement too.
No, he was. He absolutely was. Like, there was a stat. I can't give you the full perfect stats of it, but before Dirk Nowitzki came into the league, there were like, I think it was 521 3-pointers made by 7-footer centers before Dirk Nowitzki entered the league. After Dirk Nowitzki, it's 521. We'll just say that, just for context. Dirk Nowitzki made 1,628 3-pointers.
Yep.
And that's what he made. And then, and those 528 were made by 78 7-footers.
Mm-hmm.
So after Dirk Nowitzki, I think 78 7-footers had made 3-pointers, and they were like 3,400 something. I mean, he changed the game
in many ways.
When Dirk Nowitzki came into the game, it was a 7-footer who shot 3-pointers, and that's all he did. I remember when when the Mavericks traded for him, and I go, a 7-footer doesn't do that. He needs to get down and bang in the middle. Thank goodness he didn't, because it would have ruined his career, because he would have got beaten up and he would have got injured and probably would not be in the top 10 of scoring in the NBA and be the player that we all thought he'd be. Brian Cardinal. Everybody loved Brian Cardinal. Brian Cardinal was in the interview of how great Dirk was. Brian Cardinal was a great player. He was a custodian. That's what he was. That's what Dirk would have been if Dirk wouldn't have evolved the way that he did, and had the,
And just think how much Donnie Nelson provided to Don Nelson, Don, that is.
The coach that saw the point forward coming out.
In his congratulations speech, he congratulated Don and Donnie in the aspects of getting to him where he was.
Right.
And then he also brought in Holger, and everyone in Dallas knows who Holger is.
Yeah. And what's crazy at the time, and I recommend both of y'all watching this. I think this was retweeted by Brian Damaris. He used to be a scout personnel man for the Mavericks back in the aughts and possibly the early 10s. But he reposted the introductory press conference with Steve Nash with his frosted tips. And,
I've seen it multiple times. It's phenomenal.
And the thing is, we didn't know it was that day. Dirk still had 24 hours to decide whether or not he was going to sign with the Mavericks or just go back to Europe and hang out with Holger there. And then, in my opinion, Steve Nash got him to stay, and the rest is history.
Yeah, very true.
And so I think it's a fascinating watch if y'all have the time to do it. But again, also too, another thing is what an impact, not only just for a basketball player, but Dallas community. I mean, he has gone above and beyond doing charitable contributions for Dallas. Always willing to be the face of Dallas in any form or fashion possible. And again, that's not a requirement of a player. That's someone that really ingratiates them themselves as part of the city. And I think it's fantastic. And to me, other than Roger Staubach, there's been no one else other than Dirk Nowitzki that has contributed this much to the city of Dallas than what Dirk has done.
No, there was a story that I saw of what modern sports star has ingraced himself into Dallas culture more than Dirk Nowitzki? And I can't think of one. I mean, yeah, we've had Stars players, Ranger players, Cowboys players, but who besides Dirk Nowitzki has actually has said, "This is my home. This is where I am." I mean, he didn't even have to he didn't have to come out and say it. You just knew it.
Right.
It's true.
Dirk, you will never see a player like him again. As far as loyalty to the city he was drafted in,
It's only him and Kobe have anywhere near the same years in the same city, and Kobe was starting to leave.
Well, and again, with the thing with Kobe, the only reason he stayed there is because the Lakers gave him all the money in the world, and they said, "How come you don't take a discount? I'm not Dirk."
He did say that.
He did say that.
Mm-hmm.
He did say, "Well, I'll take a discount because I'm not Dirk." And Dirk took a discount. But at the same time, Dirk still made his money and is still making his money overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, well, Dirk took deals. Dirk took deals. He's dumb. He didn't take that." No, Dirk has his money set.
Yeah.
In other areas, he does. His children are taken care of. There's no worries there.
Yeah.
It's not just from Mark Cuban. It's not just from Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
No, the only thing
and he's still got a job with the Mavericks and making money off of that too.
Oh,
easily.
Like Nico said in the Dallas Morning News article today, is that Dirk always has an office to his own. That office could be empty. No one's gonna fucking step foot in that office unless it's Dirk Nowitzki.
Right.
Well, it's basically a head of player operations. You know, that's what it is. It's. Do you want it? Yeah, that okay, they'll always leave an office open. Okay, we're not going to pay anything for it. Hey, but if Dirk wants to come,
that's not on Dirk though. That's not on Dirk to change this team.
No,
I don't want anyone blaming Dirk for.
No, Dirk won't be blamed for any of it. Dirk will never be blamed for any of it.
Yeah, no.
Until it comes out that, hey, Dirk is taking over general managership or head of basketball operations, then he can be then affected. But until then, Dirk will always be one of the most beloved sports stars in Dallas. I mean, can you name another more beloved sport?
Again,
beloved.
Yeah.
Like I said,
beloved.
Other than Roger Staubach, there's no one else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Dallas sports that you can't. Dirk did nothing wrong.
Right. Oh no.
Like he did nothing that anyone would hate him for. Like everyone loves Dirk. You put his face up and people will smile in Dallas Fort Worth. They just
very true.
You can't can't help it. The guy loves it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I'll again, for a little bit of my time, I was talking. I'm ashamed to say it, but I doubted Dirk for a bit, but I'm proud and to say that I was wrong.
Before 2011, everyone doubted Dirk.
Yeah.
Dirk was doubted for years before 2011. From 2006.
He was doubted. First, he couldn't beat the Spurs, and then he couldn't beat the Mavericks. And
he
can't win with the European players.
He blew the Heat series.
In 2006. In 2006, when they lost to the Miami in the finals, that's when everyone lost hope in Dirk. But he was able to bring it back in 2011. Now, it helped that year they signed Tyson Chandler. Because that was a huge. That was a huge
That's one of the most underrated signings in the history of the NBA.
It was. And it was a sign that I said, hey, the Mavericks need the big guy in the middle, and they got Tyson Chandler, who was the best big guy in the middle at that time.
And they
brought him in.
Fucked it up by not defending it.
Hey, it was lightning in the bottle. There was no reason why that team could have gone back again. Now, could they have? Yeah, I would have loved to seen that team go back again and do it.
Yeah,
but
I just wish they re-signed him though. That's the one.
I wish they would have too. Every fan thought that, and every fan, especially since the Mavericks haven't been in contention for it since that championship.
Right.
Hindsight's 2020.
Right.
Yeah,
I know.
We should have doubled
no one
down.
liked that at the time. No one liked that at the time, though, or at least I didn't anyway.
We didn't.
No one loved it at the time. We should have doubled down at the time, but we didn't. But you know what? Hey, hindsight's 2020. So it is what it is.
Very true.
All right. Any other aspects you guys wanted to hit here in the Gumbo?
I got one more at least for us.
Go for it.
So it has taken one quarter of preseason play, but Anthony Richardson is now the official starting QB for the Indianapolis Colts over Gardner Minshew.
Well, apparently Gardner wasn't able to beat him, so
I think this is the owner's footprint all over it. I mean, like I've said before, Anthony Richardson to me is a bust as a QB. He reminds me way too much of DeMarcus Russell. He's got the athletic
said that from the beginning.
Stuff, but yeah, I know. I'm just reiterating it again. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I say he's a bust. But I don't know. I just don't see this as being good.
Well, true, but also being in that is.
I mean, he's
Colts.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
being
not
in the Colts. He's a young rookie. He needs time to mature, and you're just not giving him any of that. You're just throwing him to the wolves. I know Jeff wants to say something, so I'm going to
Hey, sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's good. But at the same time, hey, it's Colts. If they want to screw themselves, let them screw themselves. Because they already have their own problems with Jonathan Taylor right now.
Right. They got a lot of problems.
And that's a huge problem on top of that. So if they're maybe because of the fault of the Jonathan Taylor discussions, maybe that's why Richardson is getting more of a push because he has the ability to run more than Gardner Minshew does.
Maybe. I still remember Minshew Magic.
Maybe. Oh, of course. Everyone does remember Minshew Magic. That's why he's still getting a job.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, if he was better than that, he'd already have a starting quarterback position. And people wouldn't.
Or maybe
he wouldn't
people
be on
just don't want to give in. Maybe they're just like, we got this rookie. Let's start him. Because, I mean, you've got a QB. You got a coach who's probably on a hot seat right now, too. And Frank Reich. So.
No, he's fired.
Frank Reich's gone. Frank Reich's in Carolina. Yeah, it's a brand new It's a brand new coach.
So he wants to bring in his guy.
Yeah.
So the thing is here is that, again, remember who this is. This is a guy that Shane Steichen, who just came from the Philadelphia tree. He's going.
Yes.
In his mind, he is going to turn Anthony Richardson into a taller, more physical version of Jalen Hurts.
He's going to try.
He wants to utilize Jonathan Taylor. The key, though, is that, again, I totally agree with you, Caleb. I never saw anything that translates to the pro level with Anthony Richardson as far as the arm is concerned. But I think initially what he wants to do is put his imprint on the franchise. I don't think this is coming from management at all. This is coming straight from Shane Steichen himself. So I think what he wants to do for now is somehow ensure that Jonathan Taylor stays and that Anthony Richardson turns into the bigger, more physical Jalen Hurts. And so I think that's the intent right now. The problem is if you don't have Jonathan Taylor in the back of that field, then I don't know. Then he got some problems.
Yeah, true.
But
Very true.
if you have problems with that, you're in the AFC South where you can fall over yourself and still win the division.
Well, that's
very true. That is,
how
it's like the AL
got there
Central.
last year. Exactly.
And all that's talked about.
Yeah.
We haven't even brought Derrick Henry. If he's gonna, his healthiness and everything.
Oh, jeez. And
He's
the
still a
whole
rock.
Tannehill
Everything.
situation, we don't even know.
Tannehill.
There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to
Malik
all
Willis
that
for the Titans too.
and the way it goes.
And I
Yeah.
think that Malik Willis deal, that shit's done. They're done with him.
Oh,
Sorry. I mean, he might get cut.
It's possible. Possible.
Well, with all that conversation, that's been good little dip into the gumbo of different things we can talk about. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us once again. Been a great evening for Caleb Culver and Jeff Amos. I'd like to thank everyone for being here, and we'll see you next week in Next Round Sports.